Welcome back to STOIC Daily X, where ancient wisdom meets modern challenges. I'm your guide through the practical principles of Stoicism that can transform your daily life. Yesterday, we explored negative visualization and how imagining loss can deepen our appreciation. Today, we're taking that wisdom a step further with one of the most counterintuitive yet powerful Stoic practices, voluntary discomfort. In a world obsessed with comfort and convenience, deliberately seeking discomfort sounds almost blasphemous. We have temperature-controlled environments, on-demand entertainment, and instant meals. Yet despite these comforts, or perhaps because of them, we're experiencing record levels of anxiety, depression, and inability to cope with life's inevitable difficulties. The ancient Stoics recognized something profound. Comfort breeds weakness, while voluntary hardship builds strength. Seneca, despite being one of Rome's wealthiest men, regularly practiced what he called rehearsing poverty. He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with rough and coarse clothing, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" But what does this mean for us today? Imagine this scenario. Your power goes out during a storm. Your phone battery dies. No internet. No climate control. For many of us, this situation would cause genuine distress, perhaps even panic. But what if you had deliberately practiced living without these conveniences occasionally? The emergency becomes merely an inconvenience. This is the essence of voluntary discomfort, intentionally embracing small hardships now to build resilience for unavoidable difficulties later. It's like a psychological vaccine, introducing small, controlled doses of discomfort to build immunity against life's harsher realities. Think about how easily irritated you become when your coffee isn't made exactly right, when traffic delays you by 5 minutes, or when the Wi-Fi slows down. These minor inconveniences can ruin our mood for hours, but they only have this power because we've become accustomed to everything working perfectly. Today, I'll show you how practicing voluntary discomfort can free you from these frustrations, while building psychological strength that transfers to every area of your life. Subscribe to STOIC Daily X for daily wisdom that builds mental resilience. 1 minute of ancient wisdom each day could transform your entire life. Hit that subscribe button now. The practice of voluntary discomfort wasn't unique to the Stoics. Throughout history, wisdom traditions worldwide have recognized the value of temporarily abandoning comfort. Buddhist monks embrace minimal possessions. Hindu ascetics practice various forms of self-denial. Many religious traditions incorporate fasting. These parallel practices suggest there's something universally beneficial about intentional discomfort. For the Stoics, however, the purpose was never about punishment or achieving spiritual purity. It was practical psychological training. Musonius Rufus, the teacher of Epictetus, explained it perfectly. We must habituate ourselves to choose exactly the opposite of what most people choose. They avoid discomfort. We should embrace it. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire from a position of unprecedented luxury, slept on a hard floor occasionally and practiced minimalism despite having access to every comfort. Why? Because he understood that character is forged through challenge, not ease. Consider how this contrasts with our modern pursuit of convenience. We've engineered away nearly every physical discomfort and inconvenience. Feeling cold? Adjust the thermostat. Hungry? Food delivery arrives in minutes. Bored? Endless entertainment options await. This remarkable achievement of human innovation has an unintended consequence. We've inadvertently engineered away our opportunities to build resilience. This has real implications for our psychological well-being. Research in psychology shows that distress tolerance, our ability to withstand uncomfortable states, is a key predictor of success in everything from academic achievement to addiction recovery to relationship satisfaction. Yet each generation seems less equipped to handle discomfort than the last. I witnessed this principle firsthand when mentoring young professionals. Those who had faced some adversity growing up, not crushing hardship, but challenges they had to overcome, consistently demonstrated greater emotional regulation and problem-solving abilities than those who had been sheltered from all difficulty. One executive I know practices a modern version of voluntary discomfort. Despite his high position, he commutes by bicycle in all weather conditions. Some mornings are brutal, he told me, but choosing that discomfort makes other challenges seem manageable by comparison. The voluntary hardships prepare me for the involuntary ones. This is the forgotten wisdom the Stoics offer us. Comfort is pleasant but builds no strength. Just as muscles develop through resistance training, character develops through resistance to ease. Voluntary discomfort isn't about punishing yourself. It's about purposefully building your psychological muscles. Stay with me as we explore practical ways to incorporate this ancient practice into modern life. And if you're finding value, subscribe to Stoic Daily X for daily wisdom that strengthens your mind for life's inevitable challenges. Let's transform this ancient wisdom into practical actions you can begin today. The key to voluntary discomfort is starting small and being intentional. Here are 5 approachable practices to build your resilience muscle. First, try temperature practice. Take a cold shower to start your day, or turn down your heating by a few degrees in winter. One subscriber wrote to me about how his morning cold shower practice completely transformed his stress response at work. After starting the day conquering that small discomfort, he said, office conflicts and deadline pressures just don't trigger me like they used to. Second, practice hunger intermittently. Try delaying a meal by a few hours, or experiment with intermittent fasting if medically appropriate for you. Notice the sensations of hunger without immediately addressing them. This builds your capacity to function well even when your basic desires aren't immediately satisfied. Sarah, a working mother from Chicago, shared how this practice helped her manage her emotions. Before, if I got hungry, I became irritable immediately. Now I can notice hunger without becoming controlled by it. This transfers to other emotions too. I can feel frustration or anxiety without being overwhelmed by them. Third, embrace inconvenient movement. Park farther away from your destination. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Carry your groceries rather than using a cart. These micro-exercises in choosing the harder path accumulate into significant resilience. Fourth, practice digital discomfort. Try a 24-hour period without social media, or designate certain hours as phone-free. One business leader I know credits his success partly to taking one technology Sabbath each month, a full day disconnected from all screens and devices. It's uncomfortable at first, he admits, but it resets my brain and reminds me that I control technology, not the other way around. Finally, embrace mundane inconveniences. When it starts raining, don't immediately rush for cover. When the temperature isn't perfect, resist the urge to immediately adjust it. Stay with the mild discomfort and observe your reaction to it. The point isn't to make yourself miserable. It's to expand your comfort zone by voluntarily stepping outside it in controlled ways. As Epictetus said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Start with just one of these practices. Notice not just the discomfort itself, but your relationship to that discomfort. Can you observe it without immediately trying to escape it? This is where the real psychological training happens. Now, let's address some common challenges and misconceptions about voluntary discomfort. The first objection I often hear is, "Isn't life hard enough already? Why add more discomfort?" This perspective misunderstands the practice. Voluntary discomfort isn't about adding suffering to an already difficult life. It's about building your capacity to handle whatever life brings with greater ease. Think of it this way. A person who regularly lifts weights doesn't find everyday objects heavier, they find them lighter. Similarly, someone who practices voluntary discomfort doesn't experience life as harder. They experience it as easier because their resilience threshold has increased. Another challenge is distinguishing between constructive discomfort and harmful stress. Not all discomfort is beneficial. The key difference lies in choice and intensity. Voluntary discomfort should be deliberately chosen, time-limited, and within your capacity to handle. It should strengthen you, not break you. Michael, a teacher who follows STOIC Daily X, shared his experience. I started with ambitious discomfort practices, fasting for 3 days, ice baths, and quickly abandoned them. When I scaled back to simply delaying my morning coffee by an hour, I found a sustainable practice that actually built my discipline muscle rather than overwhelming it. Some people worry that embracing discomfort means becoming a joyless ascetic, but the Stoics weren't against pleasure. They were against being enslaved by the need for constant comfort. In fact, moderate pleasures are often more intensely enjoyed by those who don't indulge constantly. Think about how delicious food tastes when you're genuinely hungry, or how wonderful a warm shower feels after being in the cold. Parents often ask me how to introduce these concepts to children raised in comfort. The answer is through playful challenge rather than deprivation. Camping trips, sports that require endurance, or projects that demand persistence all build this resilience naturally. One family I know has challenge weekends where they attempt something difficult together, hiking a mountain, volunteering in challenging conditions, or learning a complicated skill. The most important challenge to overcome is our cultural conditioning that discomfort is always bad and should be eliminated immediately. This reflexive comfort-seeking keeps us fragile. As Seneca warned, if you allow it, no condition will be disgusting. It's the mind that makes our conditions bitter. Remember, the goal isn't permanent discomfort. It's freedom from being controlled by the fear of discomfort. This liberation allows you to make choices based on your values rather than your momentary comfort preferences. The transformative power of voluntary discomfort extends far beyond building resilience to physical inconveniences. This practice fundamentally changes your relationship with challenge itself. When you regularly step voluntarily into discomfort, you develop what psychologists now call a growth mindset, seeing difficulties as opportunities rather than threats. Consider James, a longtime viewer who incorporated cold exposure into his routine. He wrote to me, "After 6 months of ending showers with 30 seconds of cold water, I noticed something unexpected. When facing difficult conversations at work, something I used to avoid at all costs, I would remind myself, if I can stand the cold water when every instinct tells me to turn it off, I can handle this conversation." My tolerance for emotional discomfort increased alongside my tolerance for physical discomfort. This transfer effect is what makes voluntary discomfort so powerful. The strength you build in one domain, whether physical, emotional, or social, becomes available to you across all domains. You become the kind of person who can do hard things, period. Epictetus, who endured slavery before becoming a philosopher, taught that true freedom comes not from avoiding difficulty, but from developing the inner resources to handle whatever comes. Make the best use of what is in your power, he advised, and take the rest as it happens. Tomorrow on STOIC Daily X, we'll explore the Inner Citadel, protecting your mind, the Stoic practice of creating an unshakable core that remains tranquil regardless of external chaos. While voluntary discomfort builds your resilience muscle, the Inner Citadel gives you a fortress from which to deploy that strength. I encourage you to start today with just one small voluntary discomfort practice. Perhaps delay a meal by an hour, take a slightly cooler shower, or walk up the stairs instead of taking the elevator. Notice not just the discomfort itself, but your thoughts about it. Can you observe those sensations without judgment? Can you remind yourself that you chose this discomfort for a greater purpose? As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your voluntary discomforts today become your strength tomorrow. Subscribe to Stoic Daily X if you haven't already. Join our community of modern Stoics building resilience through ancient wisdom. One click ensures you never miss these daily principles that can transform your response to life's challenges. Until tomorrow, remember that the path to strength always runs through resistance, never around it.